So again, this is my perspective as a mom, okay? This is my perspective as a busy woman, a mom of two, and someone who spends a lot of time and has some expertise at this point on what it is that screens do to our brains. Hi there, my name is Kruti Kanoja. I'm also known as Mrs. K. I started a mental health company with my husband, who you might know as Dr. K. He is an addiction psychiatrist, and we work on video game addiction. My background is more in healthcare management, but really what I'm wanting to do today is talk to you just as a mom. We had our kids when Alec was in residency, and then I went to business school immediately after. So we had two young kids in a very busy season of our lives. And then there was a pandemic and we moved across the country, and it's just been go, go, go from day one. So what I wanted to share with you today is when you're busy or you just need a break, and we all do, how can you effectively use your devices as kind of a babysitter? It's kind of a taboo topic somewhat in parenting, where devices are kind of universally frowned upon. I think we got to be a little bit more realistic to just what an everyday busy professional's life looks like. And even if you're not working, just what a busy house can look like. And we kind of all need that space. We all kind of need that downtime. So this is meant to be a realistic, just real talk. This is what I do in my house. It works, and maybe it can help. The way I think about devices as a babysitter, right, is really how I think about babysitters. So, when we lean on our village to help out with our kids, it's pretty time constrained. One, it's pretty factored into what that day-to-day need looks like. 2, and 3, there's a lot of communication before, during, and after 3. So those are the 3 things I wanted to kind of tease out and talk to you about to kind of help you use your devices in a way you feel good about, and in a way that your kids won't kind of hopefully come out kicking and screaming, avoiding some of those screen time meltdowns, avoiding some of that brain rot, and avoiding just all of the negative stuff that we're all kind of worried about when it comes to kids and technology. So again, this is my perspective as a mom, okay? This is my perspective as a busy woman, a mom of two, and someone who spends a lot of time and has some expertise at this point on what it is that screens do to our brains. So the first thing is the kind of time-boundedness of it. When you hire a babysitter, you are saying, I need you to come over to the house for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it might be. In the same way, you want your screen time with your kid to be time-bound, and you want it to be within a routine. So for example, if you are asking a babysitter to help out during date night, right? You would say to that babysitter, hey, dinner's on the stove, then they can hang out for an hour, then it's bath time, then it's bedtime. You're kind of telling them what the sequence of things is. So when you want it to be time-bound effectively, you're gonna want to say something like, okay, you get about 2 hours of screen time. I think let's do a movie, and if that movie finishes in about an hour and 15 minutes, let's take a break for snack, and then let's go ahead and you can get back on and play some games. Something like that, where you can kind of help structure what it is that they can do on the screen. It's going to depend by age. It's going to depend on your kid type, but starting to set the time-boundedness of it will really help. All right, the second factor is, what is the part or the role of this in the routine, right? Is this taking the place of what would normally be a social interaction? Is this taking the place of what would normally be homework time? Is this taking the place of something that would normally be creative or free play time? Depending on what it is that the screen is supposed to fulfill, I would try to pre-select some activities or talk to your kid, if they're a little bit older, about what they're going to do on the screen. So let's say it's a snow day, okay? And it is a day or a hurricane day, whatever. It's a day where your kid is kind of unexpectedly at home and you've got to work. Screen time makes total sense in that situation. So if normally they would be at school with friends or learning something, right, you would want to kind of fulfill those needs with the screen. So let's say it's social time. Maybe they can FaceTime with a friend or a family member. Maybe they can have some social media time. Maybe they are on Minecraft. Maybe they're playing those games, those social games with their friends, right? If we're following the time boundedness of it, hey, you get an hour. Why don't you go do something fun with your friends? And then we'll check back in 15 minutes. Let's have a snack together. And then you can go back and do 30 minutes of something that's more educational. If you talk to your kids like that about the time and the role of the routine, then I think you're going to have more success with the expectation setting, the limits around what they can and can't do, and also it becomes easier to enforce. So if they're doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, then it's easier to say, hey, this isn't what we talked about. I'm going to need you to switch to what we did talk about, or I'm going to have to take that away. Things like that is going to help you set those boundaries. So the third thing is really the communications and the check-in. So in the example of a babysitter, right? Normally what you would do, or maybe I'm just crazy, but I've worked with a lot of friends, family, nannies that have kind of pitched in, and this is what has worked for us. You're usually prepping them when they come in. Hey, this is the mood. Hey, these are the needs. Hey, these are the curveballs you might expect. And hey, here's all of the prep, right? Here's dinners on the stove. Today they can take a long bath as opposed to a quick shower, or they have these activities planned, or they really need to do their homework. Whatever those kinds of that pre-communication is, you want to make sure that you have that with your kid. Hey, today you have this, this, and this. What do you think you need to do today? Oh, you've got homework. Oh, you've got a project. Oh, you have volleyball practice after school, whatever it is, right? That you're talking to them about what they need and you're communicating to them what you need. So that's the pre part. And the second is imagine you're out, right? You would be texting the babysitter throughout the night. You would be asking, hey, how's it going? Did they eat okay? Just checking in, making sure everything's fine. A couple of times here and there. You don't have to go crazy with this. But throughout their screen time, it's important to kind of stop by every once in a while. Knock, knock. How's it going? Just making sure you're okay. Did you eat? You're comfortable? Etc. Just making sure that they know that even though they're on their device, you're still there. What you don't want, right, is kids feeling the need to sneak off. And what you don't want is them to hide things from you. And also what you don't want is for them to think that they can kind of get away and do whatever, right? That you're not even paying attention, that you're completely oblivious. It's a fine line of being present versus being overbearing. And I get it. I am not perfect about this. I'm sure my kids many a time would just be like, oh, Mom, go away. Let us watch what we want to watch. That's fine. If you have that open communication with them, you can kind of pick up on their signal and be like, all right, cool. I'm going to leave you guys alone. I will be back in 10 minutes though, and I will check in, and I want to make sure that when I come back, lay your boundary, right? The room is clean, that you're not fighting, that pick your behavioral thing that you're trying to enforce, right? So that's kind of your check-in communication. And then there's always the post-communication. And the post-communication is, after a babysitter leaves, you're going to ask the babysitter, hey, how was it? Were they cranky? Were they rude? Were they happy? Everything go okay? You're going to check in with the babysitter and make sure that you know what's going on from their perspective. And then you're in checking in with your kid and say, hey, did you have fun with so-and-so? How was it? Were they nice? Were they rude? Did you get enough to eat or do or see your friends or whatever, right? You're going to want to check in on both sides. In the same way with the device, you're going to want to check the device, the history, the chat logs, the total screen time, where it was spent. You want to kind of take a look at those. And then you want to check in with your kid. How was it? How do you feel? Are you ready to go do something else? And if they're in a bad mood, you have to acknowledge it right there. Hey, you don't seem like you're in a great mood right now. What happened? I thought you were having a good time. And then you can kind of talk about how the screen is affecting their mood. Because worst case is they think you're absent, that they can do whatever they want. They do the things on the devices that we all know is going to rot their brain, erode their self-esteem, create like a little bit more anxiety in them, things like that. And if you're noticing those things after some screen time, there's totally appropriate non-confrontational ways to talk about them without talking about the screen, right? So something like that would be, hey, I was really thinking that, you would be in a better mood. What's going on? Or you seem like you're not having such a good time. Do you want to be doing something else? Why? Oh, you're not having fun doing this? Oh, you just want to be left alone? And the leave me alone, I don't want to talk about it is super challenging, but I've found that just kind of saying, you know what, if you need some space, no problem. Let's do that device free, maybe a book. If you want to go do something artistic, if you want to go outside, let's go for a walk, whatever it might be, depending on what your kid likes to do when they're left alone. That's a good way to kind of segue into that conversation if you're not able to kind of connect in that moment. So if you're busy like me, I hope this helps you kind of guilt-free, no judgment, lean on your devices in maybe a more mindful way. Again, we're just taking kind of best practices from how we would work with the babysitter and applying that to your device. So that way it's not a mindless screen in their face and more of an intentional, cultivated relationship with technology that you feel good about and that they feel good about. So again, what you want to do is make sure that you have some time bounds around the screen time. You want to make sure that you're really thinking about the need it's going to fulfill, whether it's creative or social or kind of escapist, whatever it is that they're going through. Make sure that the activity is appropriate for that. And then you want to make sure that you have good communication before, during, and after. And I hope this really helps you develop healthy relationships with technology. That's all we want to do here. Thanks. Bye.